Hey, if you're here, you clicked on the video, you want to do this for yourself, that's great. I'm happy that you want to do this. But before we get started, I just want to say a little bit of a disclaimer, honestly. There's a few things you should know before you consider doing this. This might not work forever. I mean, Google can find their own loophole and patch this and just make sure that this never works again. They can say, oh, only the pictures taken with the pixel. That's what we meant. We didn't mean anything uploaded with the pixel. Why would we mean that? They can kind of bring out the lawyers and make sure this doesn't work. But I personally don't think they're going to do that. I don't think they're willing to use a bunch of resources to stop that from happening when it's a fairly niche thing to do. But also, this process, by the end, sometimes the Pixel doesn't recognize files instantly, especially like long 4K video files. It's uploaded, it's on the Pixel, but occasionally you do need to restart the phone in order for it to start uploading everything that you actually sent to it. But after a restart, everything just works perfectly. So just know that you can't put the Pixel in like an unreachable area. You will have to like interact with it sometimes, but other than that, if that's still all okay to you, just maybe restarting a phone with like 10 seconds of time once a week, then let's get going. There's timestamps. Everything's going to be broken up in the little YouTube playback bar down there, so if you already have the phone, you can skip past this first section. We're going to be talking about eBay and stuff, but yeah, let's get going. So here we have the eBay site with Google Pixel pulled up, and obviously you don't have to use eBay. I'm just using this as an example, but this is where I got mine, and this is honestly where I recommend you get yours. You could obviously look around at like thrift stores and like places like OfferUp where you can pick it up at somebody else's house, but stuff like those Craigslist type sites are always a little too it gives me chills sometimes, so I just like it when it's sent to my door. So we're going to be going through this. So obviously you're going to want to search for Google Pixel, and then it's super important that you click this little box that specifies it's the original Google Pixel, and this will make sure that it's either the original Google Pixel or the Google Pixel XL, which shares the same unlimited deal, because like I said in the main video, after the Google Pixel 2 through 5 will eventually all only allow for the compressed quality uploads unlimited, but the original Google Pixel is all original quality. So, and the Pixel 6 is probably going to be out in like a couple weeks. So if you're watching this, by the time that's out, that won't even have an offer. It won't allow for unlimited uploads. It'll just all cost money. So it's important that you do this. Now we're going to talk about like how much are you willing to spend, because obviously there's a price to convenience. You can find a refurbished phone for like 75 bucks, but it'll arrive in 3 days for free. And if you don't care, you can just spend the 75 bucks and not have the hassle of looking for more buried listings and finding the phones that takes a lot of time to find, because the lower the price gets, the harder it is that you're going to be able to find it. So this is kind of just the tax to convenience, and that is not what I did. What I did for my phone was something like this, where it's like one of these giant eBay refurbished companies, basically, where they take kind of destroyed phones and they give it a new screen, or they say, oh, this one's not that broken, we can just resell it. And so they sell it in bulk usually, and obviously you can't right now because this is like the only one left. But this drop down menu, you can select your kind of quality and condition, I should say, and the better it is, the more expensive it gets. So it's all about determining what you are willing to kind of sacrifice, because this one has pretty heavy damage. It's cracked, it's got a little gap up there, and there's electronics showing. I would not personally do that one, even though the price is kind of enticing. I would go for something like this, where it's just cracks in the front and in the back glass, and mine actually had cracks in the back. I didn't mention that in the video, but since it's pretty much always face down, it's not a problem for me. So this is kind of exactly what I did. So if you're looking to follow along exactly, this is kind of the way to go. But if you really want to save as much as possible, this stuff like this is an option too. This one does have pretty expensive shipping because it's kind of destroyed and it's getting you to click for the cheap price. But for about 30 bucks, you can get something that's pretty darn banged up. It looks like it still works, but that's a lot of cracks. So I don't know. I personally wouldn't spring for it, but eBay's got pretty good buyer protection. So if it doesn't work and he's promising that it works, then you can send it back. But I think this is pretty much the sweet spot, just a little bit broken, but not too much. But yeah, once you've ordered, if you're still following along, then you just kind of have to wait in order to do any of the other steps, because as soon as the Pixel arrives, that's when we do all of the setup. It all kind of relies on the Pixel itself. So if you're following along, I recommend just favoriting the video, like setting a reminder for when it arrives to come back and coming back to this spot. So I'll see you in 4 to 7 days. Alright, so now hopefully your Pixel has arrived. I've got mine on this little stand so I can have it centered. But yeah, hopefully you should see something like this screen after it boots up and you've charged it. But yeah, we can just go through setup pretty much as normal, except obviously we don't want cellular on this thing. It's going to be on our Wi-Fi network, so we can hit skip here. And then I'm going to blur this part obviously, but you can connect to your Wi-Fi network. Alright, now it's checking for updates. It depends on who you got it from, to be honest, for this step, but hopefully it won't need any, and if it does, it should only take like 10 to 15 minutes at most. But it might restart a couple times here, so just be patient. I bet this thing probably hasn't gotten use in years, so just give it all the time it needs. It'll probably take a while to set up. Alright, so now it's going to prompt you to copy some of your stuff from your old phone to your new phone. So you don't want to do this. Obviously, it's not going to be your new phone. You're just using it for the Google Photos and nothing more. So you want to click Don't Copy. It'll set up like normal, and then it'll double check everything, and then it'll ask you about some Google services after it prompts you to log in. So here's the thing, we're not going to log in right now because it'll set it up as a whole new phone all connected to that one account, and ideally we want to be able to switch accounts at any time for the Google Photos. And so right now we're just going to click skip, and we're going to ignore the prompt there because we are going to sign in later. Now we super want to keep all of these on, but especially free up space, because in the event that you don't use the clear storage shortcut from later in the video, this is going to automatically free up space after the stuff is uploaded to Google Photos. So that's an important one to make sure that it's on, and then you click accept. Again, we're going to want to skip the screen lock here because the service we're using later in the video, if the phone is locked, if the screen is off, and then it prompts password, then it's not going to work because it needs a password, and there's no way to do that through the service we're using. So we are going to click skip here. We're going to uncheck all of these apps. We're never going to use any of these on this phone. And here we are. I'm going to get some screen share software set up on this thing so it'll look better, and then I'll be back. Alright, so here we are on the Pixel. I've installed the screen share stuff, so it should look better and be easier to follow. So just an FYI, it has now started raining outside, so if you hear that, that's what that is. But I'm still going to do this, and it should still be pretty easy to follow along. Okay, so now we're going to open the Google Play Store, and it's going to prompt you to sign in because we did not do that before. And this is when it's totally cool to do so. So I'm just going to sign in real quick, and then I'll cut back to when everything's good. Alright, and we're back. So we just want to agree to these terms of service. and you'll be happy to know that we're not going to be breaking any of those terms of service. It's just the Google Play Store stuff, and we definitely want to turn this off. The whole point of this whole endeavor is to keep your Google Drive space unaffected, so we have no reason to back up the Pixel to Google Drive, so definitely turn that off. Alright, so now we're in to the Google Play Store, and first things first, we want to search up photos, and that's pleasant that Amazon is before Google, but then we want to update Google Photos. I'm pretty sure this is guaranteed to happen. If this thing happens, this little continue account setup, just literally click skip and it'll continue, but don't feel compelled to give it your credit card information. Just update Google Photos. I'm pretty sure this happens every single time based on my testing. And while that's happening, you can search up the app SS Helper, and it should autofill. Then you want to click on this and install. And then hopefully these are the only two apps you'll need, and they're both completely free. And everything should be installed in just a few minutes, so I will jump cut yet again. Alright, so I've lined up the apps that we're going to need here. So first let's open SS Helper, and we are going to need to enable file writing. So you want to press OK, and then you want to click on permissions, and then you want to click on storage and allow, and then you can press the square button and go back to the app, and then it should automatically start your server. So we want to go into configuration, and the server address assigned there, that string of numbers, for me it's that .86.35 thing, that's your IP address, your local one, not your public one. I'm not going to get doxxed for this. It's your local IP address for the phone, and that's basically the device identifier on your network. And here's this important part. You need to, I can't help you with this one because it's different for every router. You need to go into your router settings, whether that be Google Wi-Fi, AT&T, Xfinity, and you need to assign this IP address. You need to make it static. You need to reserve it, whatever they call it. You need to make sure this IP address will stay the same on that router. For most old routers, this won't be a problem since they don't use the newer dynamic IP thing that a lot of these companies are doing, but if this IP address changes, you're going to need to go back and change a few things from later in the video. So if you can skip this step if you want, or if you're unsure, but if this stops working, come back to this app and look at that number and see if it's changed, and replace it where it needs to be replaced. So yeah, that's essentially what you're going to need to know, but for now, all you have to do is write that number down. We're going to need it for later. Alright, we're going to run the SSH Helper service at boot, so we want to check this box right here. And then we are going to check show password, and this isn't my password, it's just the default password, and that is admin. If you want, you can go in here and change this. You can make it your own password, but you do need to take note of that if you're changing it. Just as a general rule, later in the video I'm just going to default to the password being admin, so keep note of that. Alright, so that's it. That's literally it. If you want to click reload, you can click that little refresh button and it'll restart the server, but it's set up. Now what we want to do is we want to open Google Photos, and it will give you a few prompts. We want to keep that little switch on, and then we want to keep this box unchecked because we don't have any cell data, and then we're going to click confirm, and then we can skip this little tutorial, and then we're going to go in here and we're going to make sure that everything's in order. So we can click on account storage, and it'll say backing up photos from this Pixel is free and unlimited, so that's good. Now this is set up, so it will back up and sync from the correct folder. However, the correct folder doesn't exist yet, so this is a weird step, but it's a step that we need to do nonetheless. We want to open the camera app, allow, or deny. That doesn't really matter. And then we're going to take a little picture. And now a folder has been created. Wow, that is a that is a mediocre thumbs up at best. But now it's going to create a folder to store all the pictures, and that's what Google Photos is going back up from. So now we're done with the Pixel for now. So I'm going to switch over to my iPhone, and we're going to set up the shortcuts. Alright, so if you've got an iPhone, this is where you want to be. If you've got an Android, this will still work, but I recommend using the article I've linked in the description instead of this. It'll have a much more comprehensive guide for you, but if you're on an iPhone, first off, you want to download the Shortcuts app, and if it won't allow you to download the shortcuts in the description, then you want to allow untrusted shortcuts. It's a quick Google, just essentially you've got to go into settings and you have to make sure you've run a shortcut before, and it's a whole thing. But there will be links in the description for all of these shortcuts, but let's just get into it. This is my uploading shortcut. Here you want to put your IP address. This is what mine was, and you should have noted it earlier. So just replace that with whatever yours is. Then you want to change the user to, I usually just do a lowercase version of your first name, but you want to make sure it's something consistent, because if it's not, the SSH server will break and get all funky. So just make sure it's something consistent. It honestly doesn't matter. It could be anything. Just, it needs to be consistent everywhere. Next up, you want to change the password if you did, and if you didn't, it should just remain admin. And then you've got this little photo filter thing, which is actually better than what Google Photos was before on iPhone, because it just uploaded everything to Google Photos, and then the free up space button didn't filter anything out. It just deleted everything. But this is better because you can say, oh, I don't want these specific photos in this album to be deleted or uploaded, and oh, I don't want my school ID, which I need to pull out of my photo library every day, deleted from my device. So that's what you want to put in here, and then try to run it. Make sure the Pixel is turned on. It can be in sleep mode, but make sure it's actually on. And then you're going to click this button, the play button, and then it should upload everything. And now that it's over, it might take a little longer depending on how many photos and videos you have on your device. I just literally only have one photo now. Once it's run, you should switch back over to the Pixel to see if it worked. So jump cut. Alright, we're back on the Pixel, and now we are going to click on this Files app. It should be in your app library, but I've brought it to the home screen to make things easier. It should be this little recent view, and then this should be what the sidebar looks like, but we want to see the actual internal storage. So we're going to click on these three dots, and then we're going to click Show Internal Storage. Then this little Pixel button will pop up, so you want to tap on that, DCIM, Camera, and then, hey, there's our file. Look at him. Look at the little guy. Alright, sweet. So now we know that it worked. It actually uploaded what we needed it to. So now we're going to open Google Photos. So once you restart it a few times, then it should just automatically upload. And there it is. It's in Google Photos for free, and everything is working as intended. And remember, if you need to, you can hold on the side button and click on the restart button, and everything will be recognized immediately when you open it up. So, yeah. Then you can jump back onto your iPhone if you want to clear up your space. So we're going to do that now. And we're back. So now we're going to take a look at the second shortcut that I linked in the description, and that is the free up space shortcut. So once again, you're going to put in the same IP address, the same username, and the same password. Hopefully you don't break it like I just did. And then you're going to scroll down a little bit further, and then you're going to put in the exact same filters that you did in the first shortcut. And this is just so you don't delete anything that you don't want to. It's important that you do this because we don't want anything accidentally getting deleted. So now we're going to press play And I'm going to have to cut because it's going to show Google Photos on my personal account, but I'll explain what everything means as we go along. So, it'll give you this little message that says make sure the cloud icon is on each photo in Google Photos, and then you can just come back to the Shortcut app. And what that essentially means is there's going to be a little bubble on each photo in Google Photos, and that's going to mean, oh, this is uploaded to the cloud and it's also on your device. And you want to make sure that's on every photo that you want to be up there, not the filtered out ones, the general photos. Because if it's not, then it's not uploaded, something has gone wrong, and this is just kind of a safety feature for that. So this is weird. Google Photos is kind of safety blocking this because it's kind of blocking my photos, but essentially it's just a little gray cloud icon in the bottom right hand corner. So once you see that on all of your photos, you can go back to the Shortcuts app and it'll ask, hey, do you want to continue? And you've got to click yes. Or OK. If everything is in order, then click OK. But if you're afraid that something isn't working, then you click cancel, and then you can make sure everything's good, and then you can do it again. And then it'll run a script that will delete everything in the Pixels folder because it's already uploaded to the cloud. And then it will ask you if you want to delete this photo. So then you can click delete. When you click yes, it'll say, oh, here's one last step. Essentially what you want to do is it'll take you to the Photos app and it'll prompt you to, hey, go down to recently deleted, click select, and then you can click delete all. And essentially what this will do is it will actually clear out the storage. It will make sure that your storage is completely clear and you'll actually free up some storage space. So delete photo, and there we go. Everything should be in order. I've set a reminder to have myself do this every week. It can be longer or shorter depending on how often you take photos and videos, but yeah, I haven't run into any major problems yet. I will update a pinned comment in the description if something's gone wrong, if Google's blocked this, blah blah blah. If Google blocks it, I'll probably unlist this video, to be honest, but this should be good. Everything's in order. I'm making sure that I didn't forget anything, and yeah, thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.